He said, man, it's all in the news. Somebody went to the house. They got him, his wife, and her brother, tied them all up, and they were all killed execution style. And the coroner, the medical examiner, whatever, theorized, the police and stuff, that it occurred like maybe like 12:15 that morning. So it happened like 45 minutes after we had left. And I'm thinking, had we been there, that probably would have been my fate too. And that's, oh man, once again it was like, but the irony of all this is that even in spite of that, and in the other episode, I still continued to smoke, and it went on and on until something else happened. And I'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about a subject that's pretty personal, to me and for me today, and I just want to let you know just where I'm at and where my thoughts are on it and about it. I'm a grateful recovering addict, and my drug of choice is marijuana. In fact, I was a very heavy marijuana smoker, and I smoked weed for years. I mean, years. It reached a point where it became detrimental to me and for me. I grew up. I grew up. I didn't grow up. I woke up smoking weed. I went to bed smoking weed. I stayed high all the time. It was like I loved marijuana. I was obsessed with it, it did a lot more damage to me and a lot more harm to me in my life than it did. I've been clean now for about 20 plus some years, and I haven't smoked weed in a long period of time. And I think a lot of folks will probably hear this, and you'll listen to this, and you'll probably roll your eyes or throw your eyes up to the ceiling, or say, well, that's him. Yeah, you're right. It is me. And it's like I knew what it did to me and for me. And for me, one joint was not enough. Well, one joint was too much, and 1,000 joints was never enough. And I tell you, I really stayed high. I mean, my whole life revolved around getting high and getting marijuana. And as a result of it, I paid the price, and I paid the price for it in time. And there are a lot of things that I wanted to do with my life that I did not accomplish, or I'm in a point now that I'm trying to catch up and accomplish now, because it was insidious. I thought I had control over it, but in essence, it had control over me. I would make plans. I tell myself that I get high and I get creative, and I'd say I'm gonna do this and this and this and this, and I'd look up, and weeks and months and years and time had passed, and I wasn't fulfilling my goals or doing the things that I wanted to do. And it really, that after a while, that really started to bother me. And I guess the worst thing was that it started to take a toll on my health, because whenever I would get sick or I get a cold, it wouldn't just be a cold. It would evolve to bronchitis, because when you have a cold, you shouldn't smoke, but I smoked anyway. And the smoking exacerbated the cold and the bronchial condition, and it reached a point where my mucus was brown. I was spitting up brown mucus. I was really sick, and it took colds like maybe sometimes as long as a month for a cold to go away, and that wasn't a good thing. It also started to affect my health. I was eating a lot of garbage, a lot of junk, and it just, my immune system, it was becoming very compromised. I couldn't fight off anything, any kind of colds or infections. When I get a cut, it would take a long time to heal, and I think a lot of it, and in fact, I know a lot of it had to do with the marijuana. And I guess the thing about it that really is disturbing to me are the episodes that I went through to obtain the weed, and some of the things that I did, I'm not too proud of. And there's some instances in my life that things that happened, that things occurred that were very detrimental, and it could have cost me my life, but at the time I didn't see it, because I was just so hell-bent on getting high by any means necessary. And I'll share two of those things with you today. The first one was after I got laid off from a job, and I just got another job back, and I needed some weed. I didn't have any weed, and my cousin knew where some weed was. In fact, I had a cousin. He was a shady cousin. This cousin, all the shady things in life, and so my cousin ran with some really, really shady people. So if I needed the weed, I knew he was the go-to person to get it. So I went over to his house one day, and we were gonna go to this weed spot and get the weed. So I was upstairs using the bathroom. It was just he and I were at the house, and there was just like pounding on the door. It's like really aggressive pounding. And he went to the door, and when he went to open the door, whoever was at the door just burst in. And I was up in the bathroom at the time, and I heard this, and I heard these guys say, where's our money? And my cousin said, what are you talking about? And we know you got the money. We know you got the fucking money. Where's the money? And my cousin was like very scared. And the guy said, you owe us $5,000. Where's the fucking $5,000? My cousin said, man, I don't have it. I don't have it. And I'm hearing all this, and my heart's like pounding. I'm like, Lord, what's going on down there? And the other guy said, we ought to kill this motherfucker. We ought to kill him right now. I'm thinking, oh God, if they kill it, and if they know if I'm upstairs, they would probably kill me too. So I heard a gun cock, and I'm thinking, oh Lord, they're going to shoot him. They're going to shoot him. And the other guy said, no, don't shoot him. If you shoot him, we're not going to get our money. So the guy, I guess whatever. I don't have a gun, so I don't know how guns operate. But I heard another like cocking sound, so I guess the guy decided not to shoot him. But in the meantime, I'm standing in the hallway, and I hear them downstairs. I mean, they're like roughing my cousin up really bad. I hear them. I mean, I hear the blows. I hear them throwing him on the floor. They're beating him up really bad. I'm thinking, oh, if they know I'm upstairs, I'm gonna get killed. So I tipped into my aunt's room, and she wasn't there. My aunt is not exactly a very tidy person, and she had this gigantic pile of clothes like on the floor near her closet. I dove into those clothes, and I just pulled clothes up and over me, and I just sat there with these clothes on top of me, shivering, and I could hear them downstairs. I mean, beating him. And at one point, I heard it was like they were like pistol whipping him. I could hear like the sound of and my cousin was like begging and crying and screaming and pleading for his life. He kept saying, please stop. And the guy said, that's enough. And they said, we're going to be back in a week, motherfucker. And if you don't have our money, we're going to kill you. And I heard the door slam, and they left. And I was so terrified, I would not get out from under those clothes. I stayed in that pile of clothes, and I sat there, and I waited. It seemed like forever. And then finally, I got the courage to come up out of the clothes, and I went downstairs, and I saw my cousin on the floor, and it was just like blood everywhere. I mean, they had literally just beat the shit out of him. Or as we said in Detroit, where I'm from, where this happened, he got an alley ass kicking. I mean, they kicked his ass. And I called 911 right away because, I mean, he obviously needed medical attention. And I waited until they came, and they took my cousin away. And I'm ashamed of myself that I didn't go to the hospital with him to see what happened. I got out of there. I got out of there as quickly, as fast. I was just so scared for my life, and I got out of there. I just didn't want to remember what I heard or what I had seen, and I got out of there. And I haven't seen my cousin since. And he's still alive. We haven't spoken in years. In fact, I haven't seen him since that incident. And that's one of my weed episodes. And the other one is even more just terrifying. I used to work at a financial institution. My friend and I, and the guy who, the dealer, his wife, and her brother, and we were all sitting there getting high. And it was like 11:30 on a Friday evening, and I had the weirdest feeling. It just said, you need to leave. You just need to leave. A voice just said, you need to leave. And I motioned to my buddy. I said, we should go. And he got really angry with me because he was like, there's the most shit I want to try. I'm like, I don't care. Let's just get our shit. Let's just go. So we left. And, it was just the weirdest feeling. I didn't think any more about it. And we went home. He dropped me off, and I went home, went to bed. And the next day around, like 2 o'clock that afternoon, my phone was ringing. And I picked up the phone. It was my boy. And he says, did you hear? I said, did I hear what? He said, oh, man. He said, somebody killed the guy. I said, killed? What do you mean killed? He said, man, it's all in the news. Somebody went to the house. They got him, his wife, and her brother, tied them all up, and they were all killed execution style. And the coroner, the medical examiner, whatever, theorized, the police and stuff, that it occurred like maybe like 12:15 that morning. So it happened like 45 minutes after we had left. And I'm thinking, had we been there, that probably would have been my fate too. And that's, oh man, once again, it was like, but the irony of all this is that even in spite of that, and the other episode, I still continued to smoke, and it went on and on until something else happened. But I'll talk about that another time. That was like the final straw. That was like, I gotta give this shit up. Gotta give it up. I'm not here to warn anybody or lecture or tell anybody that, you shouldn't smoke weed or anything. I just know what it did for me. I know that I should have never fucked with it. I know, it was not good for me. It was just not a good thing for me. Some people, it's with alcohol with some people. With some people, it's cocaine. Some people, it's heroin. With me, it was weed. And people always laugh at me when I tell them that, that I had trouble with weed. But I think with any substance, if you don't get control over it, it'll control you. And the results can be pretty detrimental. So I'm just saying, what am I saying? Well, I'm not, you have to decide what works for you. I don't judge. I know some people who can smoke one joint and they're cool, or take a couple of totes and they're cool. With me, I could kill a bag in a day. I mean, like I said, I woke up smoking weed. I rolled joints before breakfast. I rolled joints, get ready for work. I'd smoke on the way to work. I'd go out at lunchtime, I'd smoke. I'd go out after work, I could smoke. I'd go home, I smoke. That's crazy, man. It was crazy. It was just me and weed, man. It was just me and weed. Me and weed. I wish I never ever touched that shit. I guess if that's, yeah, I wish I'd never ever touched it. I wish I'd never fucked with it. But I did, and I guess, I guess that was the price that I had to pay, Just so many incidents, man. It was like, when are you going to get the lesson? When are you going to get the lesson? It's like, I had to have my head kicked and knocked so many times before. Yeah, I guess, I got so sick, man. The last year, when I finally gave it up, is when I got so sick. I had a cold, and the cold wouldn't went away. And it was like 2 months, I still had that cold. And my health was really starting to decline. And that's when I just, nope. Thank God, man. The job I had then had a treatment program. And I went over, and I signed up and I got into a recovery program. And it's so ironic because the place where that recovery place is now, it's over there where Columbus Circle, where all those stores and stuff are now. The place doesn't even exist anymore. It's like next to it, it's like a ladies' like clothing shop now. It's like, I said, wow, that's how spiritual and how miraculous is that was there at the time that it needed to be there, and I got the help that I needed. But I have forced it in recovery. I had to deal with a lot of my demons, man. A lot of shit. Why I started smoking. I think a lot of it was because of just the pain of growing up, and for what I went through with my parents and my father putting me out at knife point and having to go live with my grandmother, and just a lot of shit. There was just a lot of pain I didn't want to feel. So I stayed high so I didn't have to deal with it, because every time I wasn't high, I had to deal with a lot of the shit, and instead of putting that shit behind me and moving on, I embraced it, and I used it as an excuse not to move forward and not to try. And it was my own fault. I don't point a finger at, I don't blame nobody. It was on me. It was on G. I was on me. And I think that was a big step, because for a lot of folks, you play the blame game. It's every fucking body's fault but your own. And it's, no. At the end of the day, you know, like I say, when you point that one finger, three point back at you, it's on you, baby. It's on you. You know, you have to get off your ass and say, hey, I got to do this for me. And I did. You know, and when I got that help, you know, I sat in treatment. I mean, I sat in those rooms. Oh, man. And I made meetings, and I talked to people. And then, I mean, it was like purging. It was like purging. And I thought I could never enjoy my music again because I was always fucked up when I listened to it. But after a while, music started sounding good, you know, sounding good again. And it's like I didn't need the weed to enjoy my music, to enjoy life, and just to enjoy simple stuff like sunsets and sunrises and just, you know, just the nature. And I stopped and just started just enjoying life, man, and being glad to be here. And every day, you know, and just waking up every morning and walking away from my bed and just, I know it sounds corny, but, you know, it's just this, you know, you wake up and you can walk away from your bed and your legs work and your hands work and you know, you got people in your life who love you, and it's just the simple things. And I'm at a point now, it's just, you know, I'm just glad, man. I'm glad to be alive, glad to have my health, glad just to be moving forward and just doing the things that he allows me to do for as long as I'm here, because I know now that I have less time in front of me than I have behind me, you know, and that fucks with me at times, but it's okay, because for the time that I have left in front of me, I'm gonna make it count. I'm gonna make it count. I am making it count. Let me rephrase that. I am making it